Greetings, beloved souls. What are mirrors, part 2, getting into the shadow of it. I am Hillis. Welcome back to Being Omni. And so, in the previous video, I talked about mirrors, the dimensional spaces, the balancing and harmonizing these spaces. But what I'm guided to talk about to get into a little bit more is the shadow of it. Because as we know, that everything that is seen has an unseen counterpart, meaning there's a shadow, meaning that where there's light, there's always going to be dark. And this is very important because most of us, and maybe some of us, were taught to, if there's dark energy, lower vibrating energy, negative energy, we were always taught to banish, clear, delete, get rid of all this lower vibrating frequency. When in fact, what we should be doing is learning from this, learning from the darkness, because in darkness is a time to really begin to cultivate this energy, learn this energy, learn the shadow of it all, learn how to really begin to embrace and know the chaos, know of the lower vibrating emotions, because emotions are just energy in motion. It is in this space of beginning to flow and walk with the anger, the hurt, the disappointment, the grief, the all of the emotions that sit at the bottom of the emotional scale. And it is in this space of darkness, it is in the space of really knowing what this darkness feels like. It's really understanding the knowing and the comprehension of this space. And when we allow ourselves to begin to comprehend and understand this space, we can use it as a tool to walk through this space. We use it as a tool to be a guide to others. We use it as a tool for self, which is most important. And when we understand the shadow, we begin to understand ourselves, because our shadow is just a reflection of our own light. It is us casting the light upon self and not focusing upon the light that we emit. Because we are all transmitters of light, we are all transmitters of love. It's just where we choose to put that focal point of energy, where we choose to focus our thoughts and our consciousness. Because when the shadow of self arises, we sometimes desire to bypass this energy. But when we bypass this energy, are we really learning anything? Are we really sitting in a space of comprehension? Or do we just want to move past the hurt, move past the anger, move past the grief, move past the disappointment? Or do we really want to understand it and then begin to walk through it with grace within our power? Because when we are in the shadow, it is time for us to cultivate our power, know our power, utilize our power, and then step into the light. It's a transitional process and progress and transformation of energy. Because when we allow ourselves to step into the procession of this energy, one foot at a time, one foot forward, how we walk, how we talk, how we act, it's all in stages, right? And once we learn the process of these stages of how everything flows, we then can fully immerse and be the light, emerge, sorry, and be the light that we know we ought to be. And I just wanted to really sit with this energy, sit with this space, because there's a lot of nuances of energy. There's a lot of really nuances of this space determining who we are, what we do, and how it's done and how it's portrayed. There's no guidebook to this. There's only your intuition. And there are people like me who can assist in this process, but it's ultimately up to you who's watching this to make these choices, to make these hard decisions of where do I want to be, what path do I want to take. And it is in the reflection of the unseen where we begin to see in our own life, because our own life reflects back to us every thought, every intention, every action. And it is in these thoughts that we begin to understand our own personal vibration, which is the law of vibration. This law of vibration is everywhere and everything. Everything emits vibration, everything emits energy, no matter if we have, the chair we sit on, the car we drive, the all the inanimate objects you can possibly think of emitted energy. They have their own specific energetic signature. And at times, we imprint our own energy upon these objects. And it is in the impression of energy that we then can claim that object is ours because it has our energetic signature. But I digress. I'm going off the rails here. I want to go back to beginning to understand with the law of vibration, with the emission of energy and how everything is energy. And when the process of energy slows down or slows down slow enough, it becomes matter, meaning that light is earth energy. And because the earth is moving, no, I forget how many rotations it spins an hour, but the point that I'm getting across is that yes, light is quick, light is fast, light is light speed, but when it slows down enough, we get the physical matter known as Earth, we get the physical matter known as our objects that we hold. Anything that we can see, touch, and feel using our senses is matter, and our energy is connected to that. Our stream of consciousness has created this collectively, individually. At some point, we all are responsible for what we create in this world, or what we create in the universe, what we create on this planet. And with the responsibility of creation and understanding the law of vibration, because the law of vibration is really mastering your own thoughts, really mastering your own consciousness. And when you learn to master your consciousness and thoughts, you then can really begin to master self and the energy that you emit, which then can create the light that you want by understanding the shadow that you create for yourself. Because everything is created without an intention. It's a balancing act. And with the balancing of these energies, we then can begin to understand truly, truly who we are, which is why it was important for me to express this now in this moment with you watching from the previous video. This is just an extension of that, just like I am an extension of you, and you are an extension of me in this collective space as we are moving through fourth density. Because as we move through fourth density, yet and time again, we are being asked as a collective, as individuals, to let go of what no longer serves us. Because as we move forward into fifth density, the space of love and kumbaya that everyone wants, we have to get through this collective shadow and really hone our thoughts, hone our consciousness, hone what our truest desires are. And in order to do that, we have to let go of the dead weight of what no longer serves us. We just have to pause and allow ourselves to let go. And that's the big message here, is to allow ourselves to let go of the emotional content and allow ourselves to begin to walk through the shadow, walk through the emotional space, the heavy emotions, to with grace, and to walk through this energy, to walk through all of our stuff, honing our frequency, honing our vibration, becoming masters of our thoughts, and allowing for the shadow just to be the shadow, living in the background, doing what it does, which is to support us as we walk through and step into the light of who we are. Because the mirrors of our lives, the unseen energy of our lives, is the reflection of our vibration, of our resonance, of our field, of our consciousness. So whatever we grow in space of conscious, whatever we allow ourselves to have, be, know, and hold, we allow for the energy to come through, to be your support, to be your love, to be all that there is. So remember, dear ones, be the love, be the all. Till next time, beautiful souls.